All right, let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about Baker Mayfield and Browns quarterback situation.
I'll have a comment about my awesome Cleveland Browns. I love Baker Mayfield. I got Baker Mayfield tiles all over my house. I knew Baker Mayfield time was up, just like the last person that was saying, he had one more year. But all the childish acts. Think about the Browns' history with quarterbacks. Johnny Manziel, Childish. All the veterans we had, Childish. Didn't work out, weren't professional enough, or just came here just for the money. We haven't really seen what this man is going to do for us yet.
And G. Bush, that's very true. And it got to the point where Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry felt they had to move away from Baker Mayfield. And they probably felt like they had to do it now because in the NFL, head coach, GM, quarterback are all tied together.
And when you look at it from a standpoint of looking at Andrew Berry, looking at Kevin Stefanski, excuse me, Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry knew that you no longer have 5 years to just make your mark in this league. Before, people were patient with you. You had a couple of draft classes that you at least got, maybe a few free agent classes. You could afford to tear it down to the studs the first 2 years and implement your whole mind state, your whole organization, and your game plan for this whole culture and the organization that when you first got there. And this is in the mid 80s into the 90s. Nowadays, you don't have that time. If you look at what the Cincinnati Bengals did, they shifted the way people think about how you go about building a team and what you can do early. The Bengals got, Joe Burrow, and they drafted Jamar Chase. If you look at their roster, they didn't really do anything crazy. I love Henderson at the defensive end. I thought he was a good acquisition, and I think he played well in terms of getting them some defensive pieces and parts. But if you look overall, the Cincinnati Bengals didn't really have that many new pieces. And they went to the Super Bowl because their quarterback was competent. They had explosive guys on the outside, and they had a nice running game. So they were a really balanced offense, and you could do that. And they were just drafted in the top 3 a couple of weeks ago. So when you talk about Stefanski and you talk about Berry, they learned from the predecessors. They learned from all the other guys who got fired in 2 to 3 years and were quite, to this day, Hugh Jackson is still surprised that he got fired. He's still surprised by that. And he should have looked at the people that came before him. You should have looked at Shermer. You should have looked at Mangini. You should have looked at Jasinski. And you should have understood and read the tea leaves and understood that, hey, I got to get some wins in here now. Forget what you're talking about. That sounds nice, building a program and a culture. It's about those wins and losses. And I think Stefanski and Berry understand that now. And I think they have a sense of urgency. And you can see that in the way they're going about this roster.